Arkham is driving me insane. Yep, I think I'm actually losing it. You know, it doesn't surprise me that more people go insane in this place than get cured with the type of sticking doctors they got around here!
Right. So the laser in your name.
It's 'cause I like sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. And the dude?
It's 'cause I am a rad guy.
And the 99?
It's 'cause I like Wayne Gretzky, alright?
Right.
You know, you would think that having a doctor in an insane asylum who is one of my friends would be a good thing. You would think that, wouldn't you? But no! Because Dr. J can be a bit of a jerk sometimes!
Alright, I'm gonna ask you some simple yes or no questions. Just answer truthfully. Are you taller than me?
Why, you may ask? Well, in all fairness, it might have to do with that time I stabbed him in the back.
It's still worth it! Don't care what you say! I'll be back!
Yeah, let me tell you, I don't think that's really helping my chances here.
Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. Whoa, I'm not laughing at the irony. Oh no.
Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, I tell him about everything that's going on, about how Joker kidnapped me, threw me in here, said that I blew up a school bus, even though I didn't. He then comes down here with me, we turn on the TV to spot the Joker, and the only thing on the TV is Teen Titans Go!
You know, maybe we should pick something different for inmate entertainment. Maybe this is what's making y'all crazy.
Joker, why are you so cruel? The rest of the session was just as bad.
So why did you blow up a school bus full of children?
I didn't try to blow up a school bus. That's just...
Right, it's fabrication made up by the Joker, but let's just pretend you blew up that bus full of school children. Why did you do that?
I wouldn't. And you know why? It's very simple. 'Cause I'm not crazy.
Right. Not crazy.
By the way, I didn't know the doctor in your name was because you're a psychiatrist.
It's not. I'm a mad scientist. And they're short staffed, so they just hired me.
Oh.
Also, I'm a time lord.
Wait, what? Something tells me that even if Dr. J did believe me, he probably wouldn't help me because he probably finds the whole scenario hilarious. So I was left with no other option. I had to continue reviewing Joker's stuff that he sends me. Fortunately, today, Scarface got in a scuffle with some guys and was put into solitary, so I don't have to worry about that guy killing me for today. Anyway, as I was waiting for the next book to be flung through the door, or heck, even the video game, something unexpected came on the screen. You see, before today, everything else that I've ever reviewed on Arkham Week has either been books published by DC Comics about the building or the villains, or it's been a video game spin-off about the building. So you can imagine my surprise when instead of getting anything like that, I got a YouTube fan film developed by the channel Ironhide 465. This was curious to me, because from what I could see, his channel wasn't that humongous, and the video didn't seem to be a viral video or anything. I mean, it only had, the full movie only had about 100 hits on it. who knows why Joker chose this? It could be a number of reasons. Heck, I still don't even really know why he chose me. Maybe it's all random. Maybe he just put a whole bunch of reviewers' name in a hat, and he pulled my name out. And he just put a whole bunch of Arkham fan films in a hat, and just happened to pull this one out. I don't know. It could just be the luck of the draw. However, one thing that you gotta understand about fan films is you cannot review a fan film in the same way that you review a regular film. I mean, you can, but I would say that would be unfair. It wouldn't be fair to judge a fan film based on its set design, or its makeup, or its sound, considering there's no set designer, there's no makeup artist, and there's no sound designer. I mean, you can't really just point at those and say, oh, they should have done better, because it's just a bunch of people that like these characters and want to pay tribute to them. However, I remain true that there are a few things, no matter what they are, if they have a story to them, you can always criticize, no matter if it's a fan film or a blockbuster movie. There are certain things that you can always criticize, and those are the things that I'm going to go over today.
Oh my gosh, will you shut up and get on with the review already? Hurry before I put a smile on that face. Permanently!
Oh, Mr. J, what are you doing?
Who's that?
No one.
Oh my goodness, is that Harley?
No.
No what, sweetie?
Shut up!
Oh my gosh, it is! Harley, dump the creep! You're too good for him!
Shut it, Lugger Crude.
It's Laser Dude.
You shut your mouth before I shut it for you. I'll take some needles and thread and sew your mouth up. Oh, and you'll be looking just like Brockapool.
But who would finish the review?
She's got a point.
You. Harley, dear, could you please go make me a sandwich? I'm famished.
Sure thing, Puddin'. Be right back.
Anyway, Arkham Life is a fan film that takes place in Christopher Nolan's Batman universe. The story is set up like all of the cameras are either someone holding the camera or it being recorded for the interview process, as it's mostly focusing on the Joker and Harley Quinn. So for the most of the movie, we are seeing Harleen Quinzel interview the Joker, and slowly we start to see him slowly twist her mind into becoming his tormented pawn.
Oh, it's a story of how we met, Puddin'.
How's that sandwich coming, honey bunny?
Sorry, Mr. J, I'll be right back.
But the Joker and Harleen Quinzel are not the only characters in this film. We also get appearances by Scarecrow and Edward Nygma. Although in this, he is pre-Riddler, as he is a member of the Arkham staff. So what I can gather from the information that the Joker has given me about this movie is that this movie wasn't originally released as one big movie. It was released interview at a time, in certain episodes, slowly developing the story over time. But with the first season of this show over, and a second one maybe to come later, you can watch the full movie of Arkham Life on Ironhide's 465's channel. Now, after I've explained all that, let's finally get into the review. Now, as I said, there are certain things that, no matter what they are, you can always look at critically and critique the movie or book or whatever on those qualities. The first thing is, how well is the story presented, and is it believable? And for the most part, I think they did pretty well. I mean, yeah, you can tell that all the interviews with the Joker at Arkham is green screen, but the colors don't blend into one another, and it's pretty well done for the most part. So for presentation, I think they did the best with what they had. Although I will admit, I noticed one garage in about 3 different parts of the movie, trying to be used for 3 different locations, but hey, I think they did well for working with what they got. The second quality that you need, no matter what type of story you're telling, is character. So with all these characters being comic book characters, and a big fan base behind each and every one of them, you have advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is you know what these characters are like. You've seen them, and so you know what people expect from them. The disadvantage is, if people don't buy you in that scene, they're going to dislike you more than they would if you were just a regular performance, if you don't do those characters justice. And early on, I wasn't sure if these guys were going to be able to pull off these characters that well. For example, the first time all 4 of our characters were in the same room together during the group therapy episode, there were just some things that just didn't work for me. I'll get back to some of the stuff about that a little later, but the first thing I want to talk about is Riddler and Scarecrow. Riddler sounded a little off to me. I don't know what it was, but it was just weird to see the Riddler try to defend his intelligence against a psycho like the Joker, where I would think the Riddler wouldn't give two bits about what the Joker thinks. And in here, he really seemed like he was offended, and I don't know, it kind of felt a little forced. And for the Scarecrow, well, two things. One, he looked a little too young, which one of the things you can't really blame them for. I mean, if you can get 4 people to play 4 comic book characters, that's amazing. Heck, I bet I couldn't even find 3. So the fact that you got someone to play him, you can't take his age against him. And then there's a part at the end where he tackles Joker to the ground. I didn't really buy it. The hit lacked power, and his body looked like it was all ready to go beforehand. And so it didn't feel like it was actually tackling him. It kind of took me thinking away from the implications of the scene and got me thinking of, that just didn't look like he really tackled him.
You're just mad because the minute you got out of Arkham, you had a woman tase you in the face while you got dragged back to your cell by your forced crime.
I'm gonna kill you!
Personally, if it was me, I would just have that scene reshot. But oh well, nothing you can do about it now. However, the story continued, and when those characters returned back into the story, I actually found that they did an adequate job. In fact, some of them did a really good job. I found myself really liking the guy who voiced Edward Nygma. I don't know, there was just something about his voice that had that cocky but intelligence factor to it. Where he thought he was smarter than you, but no, he knew he was smarter than you, and he was not humble to not show it. Then you find out stuff that he does to his patients to make himself seem more smart, and then you just hear... There's a scene where the Joker's in the back of his car, and you just hear him just complaining how everyone else is stupid, and that really came across as the Riddler to me. How someone who finds himself so much smarter than everyone that he would verbally say it out loud just to himself, just so he... just to boost his own ego, I guess.
They think I'm stupid?
Hello, boys and girls.
Just some child.
This is your old pal,
Dreaming.
Sticky
Oh,
Wizardton.
well, let me tell you, you little son
This is a song about a
man,
flame.
Mr.
No!
Mr. High and
This
Mighty,
is a
I'll
song
tell you
about
who's
being
the
happy.
stupid little
That's
child.
right.
Just give me time, why don't
Happy,
you?
happy,
It'll all
happy
come in
song.
time. Surprise!
But I think the best part of this film would probably be Joker and Harley. Mostly because of the characters that we see the most. And I like the guy who does the Joker because he does a good job at being Heath Ledger's Joker. Now, of course, he's not as good as Heath Ledger's Joker because nobody else could be. But as a take on Heath Ledger's Joker in a spin-off show, I think he does a good job. And some of the lines he says, I think, purely feel like the Joker.
Oh, there was this game I used to play with the terrorist that I killed.
What do you mean?
I guess it was more of a game for me than it was for them. You see, I would get a pile of dead bodies. Then I would set landmines strategically to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and then I would blow them up and have it playing on a tape, so it would synchronize it with the bodies bouncing from one landmine to the other.
Beethoven's Ninth can last over an hour.
I had a lot of free time, okay?
There are some problems with his character in here that I will get to in a little bit, but I would say for the most part it's a pretty solid performance. This Joker does look really familiar. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. It's driving me insane. Do you know him?
Never met him before in my life. Not at all.
No. Anyway, I think the Joker did a really good job, but I think probably the best performance in this fan film has to go to Harley Quinn.
I won! Yippee!
Sorry, sweetie. That slipped.
The reason is Harley's transformation is consistent. She starts out stern towards the Joker, but as the episodes and as the movie goes on, she slowly loosens up. She forgets to correct herself in calling him Mr. J, and she forgets to correct him when he starts calling her Harley. Stuff that she says, don't call me that, early on, but later she starts to just forget that. You can tell that this actress likes to do her lines off camera, and I think if they're going to continue this story, that is her strong suit, and she's just sticks to that. Not that she doesn't look like Harley Quinn or anything. I mean, actually, I thought she has a really good look for Harley Quinn. The problem is, she might need, if she's on camera again, she might need to do a better job memorizing her lines, or at the very least, giving her shorter lines, because there's a scene where she's in the car, the Joker's kind of kidnapped her, and she's debating whether she's going insane or just accepting her true self. And it's a good scene, it's written well, and she says it well. The only problem is it's distracting because we can see her reading a script off screen. I mean, she tries to hide it well by looking up and thinking, then going back, but when she's looking down and it's always to the same place, it's really obvious that she's reading a script off screen.
Long and... No. Don't talk like that. That's not you. That's not you, Harles. Come on. Unless it is. Unless Mr. J was right and this is the real me, and I mean, what if this is the true me?
You know, I don't exactly blame her for reading a script off scene, because she had a lot to say in that scene. The only thing is, it's just distracting. So they should have either shortened the scene, or she should have memorized her lines a little better. That's all I'm saying. But either way, I still find her the best part of the film. I think her performance is better is because she goes through a change in a character arc. Where the Joker, no matter what will happen in the future, cities will fall, stuff will happen, but the Joker will never change. The Joker's always going to be insane, always going to be crazy, and is always going to be doing horrible things. That's just the way it happens. So there's no character change for the Joker. Whereas Harley Quinn does have a character transition to go through. And it's believable, and it's well done. Now, I won't say it's a perfect transformation, but you get to see her struggling against the Joker's mind games and how they eventually affect her so much that they make her let go of her own sanity. Now we come to the last point that you can always criticize in a film, no matter what budget or what medium it has. Every film can always be judged by this: the writing. So how does the writing hold up? Well, much like the acting, it gets better in the later episodes. Now, while the first ones do have some interesting things about them as well, they do have the movie's more weaker points. The first point goes back to the group therapy episode, where Edward Nygma tells the Joker about this riddle that is straightly ripped off from Arkham Asylum. The riddle in Arkham Asylum goes, what walks on 4 legs, then 2 legs, and finally 3 legs. In the video game, the Doctor answers Riddler's question as a human being. When you're a baby, you crawl on 4 legs. When you're an adult, you walk on 2. And when you're a senior citizen, you use a cane, so you have 3. However, the Riddler in the game answers no, it's a baby. True, it crawls on all 4s, but then you cut off its legs, and it can only hobble on 2 legs. Then you give it a crutch, and it can hobble around on 3. And she says, well, that's horrible, how can you joke about that? And he goes, easy, it's not my baby. You know, it's one of the creepiest riddles you'll ever hear. The thing is, that's exactly in here, but instead of a baby, it's a dog. Joker answers it and says, it's a dog that you cut off its legs. That doesn't work.
Well, the answer to that is a dog. It starts out on 4 legs, chop off its front legs, it ends up on 2, and then you give it a cane, it can hobble around on 3.
That's horrible. How could you say something like that?
It's not my dog.
Now, it may have been changed to make the riddle less graphic, but the thing is, it just doesn't work. No matter what, if you cut off a dog's legs, it may be able to run on 2 legs, because I've seen dogs that can do that, but a dog can never, ever use a crutch. So the only way it can walk on 3 legs is if you put a leg back. It doesn't. The riddle just doesn't make any sense that way. However, that's not really the point I'm trying to make. It feels less creative because they ripped off something that wasn't theirs. However, later on, the writing feels less ripped off and more organic. The only problem is, thanks to that scene, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, that was a good line, but did they rip it off as something else? But about halfway through the movie, you forget all that and you just enjoy it for what it is. And the scenes where they do use stuff from other mediums, it feels more like a tribute than something that they rip off. I really like what they do with the scars scene, because a couple of the scenes that they use the "you want to know how I got these scars" scene, they use it to tell the stories of Joker's origins from the comics that he's told a million times. You know, of course, nobody actually knows the Joker's origin, but he tells the stories that have been told, from the Killing Joke to the one given in Mad Love.
Could you please tell me about that? For research, of course.
Okay, well, my mother was brutally murdered by a mugger. My father, trying to entertain me one day, took me to the circus. And the clowns there would just pull their pants down, and we would laugh. My dad nearly busted a gut. So, yeah, we got home, I took his best pants, and then I pulled them down my waist, and then I ripped the crotch straight out of his pants. And then he broke my nose. I was bleeding everywhere, and he comes at me with a knife, sticks it in my mouth, and he says, "Why aren't you laughing now?" He gives me a pair of these. And then he says, "Oh, look, there it is."
That's so horrible. Who would do that to...
And they both have fun with and take seriously the scar scenes. Even though technically he doesn't have scars, but once again, no makeup artist, you can't blame him for that.
Well, how did you get those scars?
You don't just ask me that.
I'm sorry, I'll avoid that subject.
Alright, it's fine. Just make sure I'm at least the one who brings it up next time.
However, I will admit there might be one too many scar stories in there. I think they could have gotten rid of at least one. But sometimes there's good setups for some scenes, and they don't really go anywhere. I mean, one of the episodes starts with the Joker reading Twilight. I mean, that right there just sets up so many jokes in your head. I mean, he could say that he loves the story about there's this woman that is toying with these two men's minds like puppets, and she's tormenting them, and how he loves it. Or he could say how, man, you locked me up in an insane asylum, but you let this woman who wrote this free. What's wrong with you? Something like that. There's a lot of variety that you could do just for the Joker to make fun of Twilight. However, they don't really do anything with it. Instead, he just throws the book away and says how, wow, this sucks. Which, okay, it just doesn't go anywhere. And it really came across as he just wanted to show that he didn't like Twilight. Well, there's a lot of people that don't like Twilight. And it kind of feels really pointless to put it in there if all he does is throw it away and says, I don't like it. But overall, I think that this story is not boring at all. Not by any means. I mean, I think if you're going to watch it, it probably would be best to watch the full movie like I did, because I originally started watching these online as just individual episodes, and I kind of lost interest. But watching it all in one sitting, it kind of made the whole scope much more clearer to me, and it became a more enjoyable product. I mean, it's not feature film quality, but it doesn't really have to be. It's a fan film, and fan films are to show your love for these characters and to tell their stories in your own ways. And I think this movie does that well, to the point where it's a really enjoyable flick. So I'm giving Arkham Life a 6.5 out of 10. This, I think, though, this isn't a movie that everyone can jump into. This is a movie for the Batman fans and the comic book fans, and I think it knows that that's what it's for. It's not here to convert all the people who don't like comic books into comic book fans. It is there to show their love of these characters and to just give their own takes on them, which I think is really good. This film is fun for those people who love these characters and want to see other people's give their take on them. Now, before I go, Joker, I have something I want to... Joker? Joker?
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who wears a straitjacket? watches too much TV, and doesn't belong here. You have 1 minute to answer before I call Mr. Zags.
Things just keep getting better and better.
Sorry, we seem to be having some technical difficulties. Anyways, join us next time as I force this moron to review Arkham Asylum Living Hell.
Here's your sandwich, sweetie.
Oh, thanks. Harley! What did I tell you? No mayo!
Does anyone really know the mind of the bats? I live in the shadows, I work in the shade. A cape and a mask, a lonely keeper's crusade.